Hello, and welcome to week 2 of Early American Literature. Hopefully, after this first week, you've started to feel like you're getting the rhythm of the semester down, whether you're taking online classes only or a mix of online and face-to-face classes. I know it always takes a couple of weeks to feel a bit settled, like you know what to expect, you know what things are going to look like, and hopefully you're starting to feel that way. I just wanted to give you a brief, I promise, briefer than last time, video overview of the week ahead. So a couple of quick announcements. The end of this week, very early next week, you will start seeing grades pop up in your graded work in terms of this past week, week 1, the discussions and the reflection question. So as you know, this is my first semester working totally in Canvas. So I also am getting into the rhythm of the semester. So thank you for your patience. I appreciate that and your flexibility. So be watching for that in terms of grades popping up. I will leave some brief comments on your discussion posts privately in the grading apparatus and your reflections, just to kind of encourage you, and if there are any ways you can kind of grow or correct your responsiveness, I will offer some critique as well. But certainly these first couple of weeks, you can expect soft grading, not much criticism, because we all are just getting used to things. So what is most important, really in the entire class, but certainly in these first few weeks, is that you are reading everything that you're assigned, marking up your text, annotating, making notes. If you don't like writing in your textbook, using post-it notes, really thinking about actively engaging with the text. As long as you're reading deeply and starting to engage via reflection through those discussion questions and the reflection question. The word quiz, I feel like, is kind of a loaded word, but I'm using the quiz feature to collect your reflections week by week. So as long as you're being thoughtful and reading, you're on the right track. So let's look over what the course is going to look like this upcoming week. We'll look at that together. All right, so this is our Canvas page. You're familiar with the course details and resources. Again, this might be hidden when you open up the page, but there's a lot of information up here for you to peruse throughout the semester. Week 1, that's what you are finishing up. I'm recording this on Wednesday, September 2nd, so you are, if not already, finished with week 1's work. You are wrapping that up by tonight at midnight, 11:59 to be precise. So this is kind of what you can expect the week to look like. So I'm going to go ahead and close week 1, and we're going to look at week 2. All of this will be green and open by the time you're looking at it. So if we look at week 2 assignments, you're going to have the same structure of the assignment format every week. Read, watch, discuss, and write. So the reading, this comes from your text list. You will notice, though, that this is a bit more specific than your text list is. So your text list includes, oftentimes, the entry will have one page number, and that's where the biography starts, and then the page number of the selected text that I'm asking you to read. Sometimes it's right after the biography, sometimes you have to skip ahead a little bit. But you'll notice that for From Of Plymouth Plantation, I'm giving you some very specific excerpts to read. So you'll read the biography, and then go to these excerpts to read specifically. Now, if you're reading something and you're really enjoying it, read the whole thing. By all means, that would be wonderful. But for the purposes of the classwork and the discussion questions, what is in these parentheses here, that will be what you are expected to read in the week ahead. Sometimes you'll notice that the biographical information is longer than the text itself. That is not a bad thing, and you really do need to read that biographical information, because in a course like this, the way that history and literary history is intertwined is absolutely essential. So you're learning a great deal about the historical context for these texts and not just the texts themselves. So be sure to always read the biographical information. And the nice thing about the introduction to this first half of the course that you read last week is that it kind of gives you a preview of so much of what you're going to read and how all of these things are connected. So you might even find yourself wanting to kind of flip back to that introduction to remind yourself about some of these figures in history and how they fit in to this larger era. Watch, I say the introduction PowerPoints. So the PowerPoint that I linked last week and the art PowerPoint at the top of the class, those are, from the textbook, they're overviews. A quick tip, if you download them as PowerPoint files, you can open them and read on each slide their teacher's notes. So it's a bit more context and information about the slides themselves. So just keep going. If you only looked at the first few slides, just make sure that you are continuing to look at those PowerPoints. And then we'll also look at the linked videos. I'll take you and show you that YouTube page again. Discussion forum and week 2 reflection. So very similar format as last week. The discussion where you will post, this week I'm asking you to choose 2 prompts. So here are your reading assignments, and under each assignment, there are a selection of prompts, and I'm asking you to choose 2 of the following prompts from 2 different texts. So maybe a Columbus and a Bradford, or a Smith and a Williams. Just choose 2 different prompts, identify what you've chosen in your discussion, and answer. And of course, these aren't black and white, right or wrong answers. They're very much analytical, reflective responses. And then the quiz for this week, again, I use the word quiz, but this is really just like turning in a reflection, like a 1-page reflection, for example. This is similar. I'm asking you to choose 1 specific passage or excerpt from anything that you read or watch from this week and pick out something that you really find compelling. I want you to be specific. It might be a person, it might be a specific text, but then write a reflection about that. Okay, and it is likely that before you turn those in, I will have graded this week 1's assignments, so you'll have a little bit of guidance as well. So the assignment, again, I showed you that. If you go to the YouTube playlist, this is what you will find. For this past week, I had you look over some Native American creation stories and other origin stories, information about the mythology of the trickster. And then for this week, okay, take a deep breath. This is going to be a lot of videos, but many of them are very, very brief. So you might be familiar with these crash course videos. They're John Green and his brother, Henry, I think I got that wrong. So these are kind of combo mini lecture, cartoons, facts. They're just really nice brief overviews of big ideas in academics. So I linked to a couple of them, thinking that you might perhaps even enjoy looking over these and kind of situating yourself with some of the information that you probably learned in history over the years, but just reminding yourself and contextualizing it in a literature classroom. So these first two videos are about the age of exploration and expansion and consequences. So we're thinking about, starting in Europe here, as our early writers have, for example, Columbus, and what that era looked like and felt like. And this just gives some nice context as well as like images as well. That's really nice to see. Here, this is an audiobook. So if you would like to listen to the letter from Columbus on the discovery of America, so this is your reading assignment, but you can listen along if you'd like. So my hope is that as we go week by week, you'll get kind of used to how this all looks and feels. And so when you are assigned the videos on the YouTube playlist, you can see this and think, oh, this is an audiobook. It's an option to listen, or to listen as I read. I don't want you to feel like you have to be glued to your screen watching or listening to every second of these videos. Kind of just use logic and common sense as you walk through the videos. Another crash course in terms of early Native Americans in English in kind of New England colony. This is a cool kind of historic video of John Smith. Here again, we have a reading. So if you like to listen, especially some of these early texts that aren't written perhaps in the modern English that you're used to, you might like to listen to some of the excerpts. I have a short video here about 1619, which is situated in the middle of our readings for this week. 1619 is when the first Africans arrived in Virginia who would become the first what we understand in terms of slavery in America and in the enslavement of Africans in America. 1619 is that date that that moment occurs. So I wanted to situate this video, this very brief introduction, just to get you thinking about the timeline and what's happening during this period. So please, it's 2.5 minutes. Just remind yourself again of this large timeline that we're going over, these moments that are happening that we need to be aware of because we're going to be looking back at them. Here, again, a kind of fun explainer video. This man is a history teacher with a ton of these videos. So about Puritanism, and I have a couple of articles for you as well for this week. This is a brief quote from William Bradford. Again, we have a reading. You can kind of listen to a selection. A brief biography about John Winthrop. Here, so for example, you're looking at the YouTube playlist and you're like, oh my goodness, this is a 40-minute video of just this reading. I encourage you to just listen to it as you read. Some people like to learn that way, or to kind of hear what they're reading. And I just wanted to give you that option and kind of just easily put these in front of you. And then these last couple of videos, this one talks about Roger Williams and Anne Hutchinson, who you're reading Roger Williams for this week, but some contrasting ideas to Puritanism in early America and what happened to people who had contrasting ideas. This, and I note this in the assignment for the week, this is an hour-long lecture. This is optional. You might just want to kind of have it on in the background. Again, I can't stress that enough. It's just optional if you want to listen to this. But Eva LaPlante is the author of American Jezebel, which is a book. It's a biography of Anne Hutchinson, basically. So this is a really awesome lecture that includes images, and she has slides behind her about Anne Hutchinson, who, along with Roger Williams, they were dissenters in the colonies and flew afoul of the Puritans' belief system and teachings and what happened to them. So in Anne Hutchinson, and certainly the research and scholarship about her so much of Anne Hutchinson's life and experience is foundational in terms of women in America, and of course women in religion and Christianity as well. So you might find yourself kind of interesting or compelled by her story. In that case, please do watch that video. And then a couple of really brief articles. So just a couple of pages, overviews, what is literature of exploration, Puritanism in America, a bit more about Anne Hutchinson, and that encapsulates the assignments for the week. So again, it's really important that right now you make yourself a schedule for the week, use a planner, however you want to do it, that you are pacing yourself with your readings. Because since this class is Wednesday to Wednesday, I know that it could perhaps be tempting to log in on Wednesday, see what's due for the next week, and then kind of forget about it until Tuesday. That will not work for this class. I am consciously not giving you a lot of busy work or assignments that you need to check in and just like post all throughout the week. I am hoping that you can, again, pace yourself, do all of the reading, break it up throughout your week. Don't wait until Tuesday to do everything. You will be unhappy if you do that. Some of the readings are lengthy, some are very brief, but certainly it's a manageable amount of reading if you pace yourself over the course of a week. It is not if you give yourself a day to do so. So again, the rhythm of this class is going to be certainly some interaction through the week, but you get your large assignment for the week on Wednesday, and then it will be due the following Wednesday. Please get in the habit right now of figuring out your schedule and imagining, okay, if this was a traditional class, we would be meeting for class every other day for over an hour when I would be doing homework. So think about that and plan ahead and really get organized now instead of scrambling to get organized in week 10. As you are reading and watching and listening and delving into these earliest of texts in American history, I want you to, throughout the semester, always have the refrain in the back of your head of, what is America? And we're grappling with that in these early readings. It's likely that whether in the introduction or reading some of Columbus's observations, and certainly the readings in the week ahead, you're likely recognizing thoughts, ideas, conflicts that in 2020 still seem very familiar to us. So what I want you to be sure to be thinking about all semester when you are reading the biographical information, when you are reading a poem, when you're reading a speech, think to yourself, what is America? Who is America? And again, there isn't a right or wrong answer, but in a class like this, as we kind of delve into the power of language in shaping our ideas of ourselves and our country, be just thinking consistently of that throughout the semester. One last note, a few folks showed up today for the open Zoom office hour. Thank you. It was lovely seeing your faces and hearing your voices. We are going to make that a repeat event. So every Wednesday at 12:30, I will embed a Zoom meeting in our Canvas shell. I will typically, in that message where I remind you, Zoom meeting on Wednesday, include a brief overview of here are the things in particular that we'll be discussing. Of course, you can always just come in to chat and say hi. And if you ever want a one-on-one Zoom meeting, please just shoot me an email and we can set up a meeting. But I am hoping that throughout the semester, when we have some optional video chat options, we will be able to kind of replicate some of that good stuff that can happen in the classroom that's a bit harder to replicate online. So stay tuned, stay plugged in, organize your time, and be constantly thinking, what is America and who is America? I will talk to you soon.